And you brought up a really important point that we at WAM have been fighting against for several years. We know that CFS has become a huge issue. 90% of children in care are First Nations. There's profit to be made off of the system. We have to remember that only 11.1% of the entire population of Manitoba is First Nations, yet 90% of the children in care are First Nations. And that is obviously a huge issue. That's not just a coincidence. There's a reason for that. Now, what would you do if elected at the legislative building? What would you do in order to call the powers of CFS and this kind of profit-making system that's bordered around the whole CFS system?
I would be calling out CFS in the ledge, and bringing to light the problems with giving so much money per child. I mean, when you look at it, one of the First Nations people I was talking with, they said, well, you know, Child and Family Services receive $68,000 per child. So their budget depends on having a lot of children in care. So what they're doing is they're stealing children for money, basically, and coming up with all sorts of excuses for taking these children from these homes. And then they keep these children away from their culture, away from their families, and it just becomes a vicious cycle for them. And with them, you know, basically stealing the children and making money off these children, they send them out to homes. Some of these people, yes, they're good, caring foster parents, but other ones, they see that as a money-making area for them because they receive $2,000 some odd $100 per child. So if they have 4 children, they're receiving $8,000 a month to take care of these children, and the children may receive $150 out of that for personal use, but the rest is given to the families that are fostering them.
And it's so sad to look at this system. I want to give out a few stats here because there are 11,000 children in care, and that's a conservative estimate that came out a few years ago. Out of that, about 60% of children that become adults through the CFS system end up homeless. That's a huge statistic. About 75 to 80% of those missing and murdered came through the CFS system. If we want to talk about what some of the root causes are for many of the problems we see, it doesn't end at CFS, but it's largely within the CFS system and what it does to children and how it destroys development. It's so sad to watch because I know we're a laughingstock for a lot of people outside of Manitoba, and it's a $500 million a year industry in Manitoba, and that should be shameful. That's totally shameful, and people should really be looking at those facts and doing something. You don't have to be personally affected by CFS, but you should really stand up and say something about this because we can't just allow our children to be taken and put into the government system like they are government property. It's just so wrong.